Hello and welcome to this tutorial. We will be going over how to do the manual configuration of Vesta Web Interface. This assumes that you've already installed VWI through one of these three options. If you haven't, go ahead and do that now. You can watch the previous videos for the tutorial on how to do that. But we're going to continue ahead where we left off earlier. We already have VWI installed on our local host using the selective install method. And as you can see here, all of our requirements are checked. If these requirements are not checked, you're going to have to fix those. On each system, these extensions are installed a different way, so you'll have to search that. But you can use your chmod or permissions commands to change these permissions here if they are not correct. So with manual configuration, we're not going to be using this install page. We're going to be starting with our config file. So you're going to have to go into your installation directory, includes, and we're going to start with config example.php. We're going to open up this file here, and this will give us an example of how to set up our configuration file. So you'll see here it has a template. We're going to copy this, and we're going to create a file called config.php. And in here we're going to enter our MySQL database details. So we're going to be using our local host server for MySQL, our username and password, and then our database. So we'll go ahead and create a new database in MySQL. Now we'll save this file, and we're ready to move on to our next step. We now need to initialize the MySQL database. We'll start that by creating this table here. This is our configuration table, so we'll open up localhost. We'll go into our SQL, and we'll paste this command here and run that. This will now create a config table that we can initialize with our configuration values. Now alternatively, you can use the included template file here. This is the VWI_config.sql file. So you can actually edit this entire file here, and you can enter all of the variables that we're going to be changing here, and then import this file into your phpMyAdmin or MySQL, and it will then run that as one file instead of doing all the commands in our SQL terminal. So we're going to initialize the table with this block of code here. Again, we'll go into our SQL, we'll paste this, and now we're going to edit all of these variables here. So in the documentation under manual config, it'll give you this section here. It'll tell you what all the variables mean and what the accepted options for them are. But I'll go ahead and run through some of those now. So time zone. There's a list of accepted time zones. It accepts all the basic PHP time zones, but we're going to stick with America, Los Angeles. We'll then enter our site name, then our theme, a couple different themes you can choose from here. Default, orange, blue, purple, dark. We'll go ahead and change that. This is case sensitive, so make sure that you enter that exactly spelled and case sensitive correctly. Then our language. The accepted languages are listed below. We're going to stick with English US. Then default to admin. We're going to turn this off for now just to show what that looks like. If you do not go to the admin panel, we'll then enter our host address. This is without any ports, slashes, or HTTP. This can be an IP address or localhost though. We'll then choose if we want SSL enabled for our backend. So this is if your Vesta CP has SSL enabled, not if you want the current control panel to have SSL. We then have our port, our authentication method. This can be either credentials or your API key. We're going to stick with credentials for now. And that'll be our username admin and our password. Then we have two random keys here. These are used as encryption keys. So we'll just enter some random strings here. Then warnings enabled. So this is if you want to show pop-up warnings about like security and errors. You can choose who to show that to. So that can be shown to your admin user, no one, or all users. We'll just stick with admin. Then we have our icon, logo, and favicon. We'll keep those the same, and once we get into the admin settings section in a later video, I'll show you how to change those from the control panel. Here you can choose if you want to enable or disable any sections. This helps if, for example, your mail port is blocked by your ISP, or you don't want to give your users access to databases. You can disable that section entirely. We'll leave all this as default. We then have the option to allow registrations, which is, again, an entirely different section that will be discussed in a later video. You can link to Softaculous to give your users access to that panel, and you can link to your old control panel. Then we have options for PHP mail. This allows Vesta CP to send, or for Vesta Web Interface to send emails. And this can be either through PHP mail or SMTP, but we'll leave that disabled for now. Then we have links to our FTP, webmail, PHPMyAdmin, or support links. These are links that will pop up in the apps section and allow your users to access those separately. Then you can enter any plugins that you've installed separately. Then we have all of our integrations here. So these are variables where we can enter our API keys or IDs, and that will enable our integrations and plugins. We'll go ahead and hit go. And now this should be populated with all of our settings that we just entered here. And we can continue on. So now that we have set up the config file and we have entered all of our variables here, we should be able to open up localhost. And here you see we have that purple theme we chose. We have the title we chose, and we can go ahead and log in here. And here we are taken to our web dashboard because we disabled the default admin variable. So that is the manual configuration process. Thank you for watching.